Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Evolution Games yet again. So in this episode I'm gonna be focusing on basic combat in Genshin Impact on PS4 Slim. And let me start off by thanking everyone for their previous support on my other videos. Let's get into this. So I'll just showcase this on the group of mobs down below. So basically you have aerial attacks that you can use while you're still in the air. You just press your basic attack and your character is gonna fall down on them like this.
Come a little closer.
Now in this case my character is an electricity specialist and as you can see it's raining, so it's easily chaining their attacks or chaining the attacks with the status of wet, and it's causing bonus damage. So the whole purpose of the game is mixing it up with the various elemental attacks. So for example, now since it's raining, attacks like electricity and ice are boosted, and it's easier to get the statuses that come with them. For example, if you hit someone with electricity and it's raining, they're gonna get electrocuted and you're gonna deal bonus damage. If you use ice attack while it's raining, you're gonna freeze them, and so on. So let me just fast forward to another fight so you guys can see this in action. Okay, so I have a group of guys in front of me, and this time I'm gonna use Kea, whose specialty is ice. So let's see. Oh, I didn't expect that. So yeah, as you can see, even though his attack is freezing, if you attack a barrel that's explosive, your attacks will trigger the explosion, so be careful of that. But the game is designed for you to mix and match your characters and also mix and match the attacks in between them. So for example, if you start off with your main character, you can chain your attack and then chain wind and electricity like that, even though they didn't survive it, so you guys couldn't see anything happen there. You have to mix and match your characters in the middle of a fight, and that way you're gonna deal bonus damage and basically deal damage in order to survive the fight. Otherwise your damage output won't be enough if you focus only on a single character and you don't mind the other characters, or rather use them. So for example, this guy has a shield. That shield can be set on fire with the fiery attacks. As you can see, his shield is now on fire, and now I can chain it with the wind attack, and it immediately sets the whole place on fire. That is essentially showcasing you some basic elemental combinations. Wind and fire cause bonus fire damage and burning damage, and it can also spread to the area around you, so be careful of that, as it can damage you. Even no matter which character you are using, it can damage you. Electricity and ice, they cause superconduct, which causes bonus damage, and I believe makes the target susceptible to physical attacks. So I mentioned earlier that I'll explain the combination of elements, but this game has so many of them that I won't go into all of them. But for example, fire and ice, they can create melt status that cancels out the effects of both elements. However, it deals critical damage in the process. Same can be said for hydro and pyro, which is essentially water and fire. They cause vaporize, which cancels out the effects of both elements, but it deals critical damage in the process. Swirl, the one I mentioned earlier, is basically when you use wind, and that can spread the status of previous elements. So for example, if you're combining fire with wind, it's gonna spread the status of wind, or fire, sorry. If you're combining it with electricity, it's gonna spread electricity. Ice and electricity cause superconduct, which deals AoE damage, plus a debuff that makes enemies more vulnerable to physical attacks. There are many more, but I won't go into them in this video. Instead, you're gonna have to try them out for yourself and see what they do. Okay, so another important thing to keep in mind is to make sure you are constantly moving when engaging targets. Otherwise, you can easily get overwhelmed when there are more than a single enemy around you, especially at higher levels. Also, keep in mind that every fight you take a part of, and in every fight that you run around the area, you're gonna be wasting your stamina. So make sure to keep an eye out on your stamina and not overdo it moving around, because it can leave you in a bad spot if you use up all of your stamina at once. Also, another important aspect of the game is to be aware of your surroundings. So if you're fighting someone on, let's say, a cliff, your character could fall down, and it might be too much for your character to get back up, because it happened to me a couple of times where I fell down off the cliff into the water, and the cliff was too high to climb back up, and there was too much water and I couldn't swim back to safety because of my low stamina. So make sure you keep an eye out on that. And also, another thing to note is, depending on the situation and the enemies, you need to make sure you pick the right character. What I'm saying is, if you're fighting a boss or a higher level opponent and you are getting destroyed in that fight, at least from melee range, then you might be better off playing it safe with guerrilla tactics, where you go in, you attack a couple of times, and then you go back to safety. Or you could just switch it up to a ranged character and use that character instead. Of course, if you have shields or healing on your melee character, then you should be fine, but still, it doesn't hurt to listen to these advices. So as you can see here, these guys are immune to electricity because they are made out of electricity, but if I hit them with ice, they get superconducted, which is basically the combination between ice and electricity, and this is the combination between fire and electricity called overloaded, which, like previous combinations, deals bonus damage and a special debuff status. And I believe that's gonna be it for this video. If you guys want to see more tips and tricks, make sure to like the video and subscribe for future content that is gonna be in this nature. Peace.